About 1 year ago, my friend Jake and I decided to run an experiment to determine whether the Nike 4% were faster, 4% than your average training shoe.
So this is how the experiment's gonna work. Basically, we're gonna be running 520 miles for 4 miles.
What we found out in this experiment after posting the video is while scrolling through the comments that our science sucked. People were kind of up in arms about this video, but this did allow me to meet some people from Nike because they saw this video and they thought it was really cool, and then I got to have this really great experience with these amazing people that made the shoe. But that was 2 generations of shoes ago. The 4% turned into the NEXT%, and then now the Alphafly. I was lucky enough to be invited out to the release of the Alphaflies, and on top of that I got a pair early. And so my friend Jake and I have a new experiment to do. And this time with better science. Roll the intro. Wait, do we have an intro? Welcome back to Mythbusters with Zach Levet and Jake Schindel. On today's episode, we will find out how the Alphaflies compare to the NEXT%, compare to the 4%, compare to Pegasus 37s. And ultimately, we'll find out if Nike's newest shoes are worth the $275 price tag. So Nike initially made the 4%, which were said to make you 4% more efficient. Then they followed up by making the NEXT%, which were not necessarily 5% faster, but were supposed to make you faster than 4% faster. And then the Alphaflies came out, which were said to be even faster than the 4% and the NEXT%. Is all this just marketing jargon, or are they actually more efficient than your everyday trainers? In our last experiment, we found out that they were maybe 4% faster based off heart rate, but many people pointed out that heart rate is not the best variable to test for. So this time around, we got a coach and scientist, Ryan Middelton, to help us out and kind of figure this out a little bit more scientifically.
Okay, my name is Ryan, this is my son Shep. I'm a coach at Endorphin Fitness. So what we're doing today, we're comparing Nike's various shoes. We're trying to eliminate as many variables as possible. So we're keeping the terrain predictable. We're gonna have STRYD pods on Jake as well as Zach as they do a mile at the same watt per kilogram. So what we're doing is we're figuring out how much work it takes to move the body weight forward at an even effort. And what that's gonna do is strip down all the variables to just the shoes, and then the time should be able to tell us what shoe is most efficient.
So by using the Pegasus 37 as a baseline, if our time gets faster from there, then in theory it is working, and we can measure the percentages and we can figure out exactly how much faster these shoes are making us. Essentially, the tools that we used were a STRYD pod, which is a running power meter, and then the next is a Garmin to record the time and the wattage and every data point that we use to measure this experiment.
Okay, it's time to weigh in.
Yeah.
153.
153?
150.
Okay.
While Jake and I warmed up, Ryan crunched the numbers, dividing our weight by 2.2 to get our kilograms, and then multiplying that by 5 to get our kilowatt hour output that we have to do for each lap. We'll be running 1 mile in each shoe, meaning that we'll do 1 mile in the Pegasus 37, 1 mile in the 4%, 1 mile in the NEXT%, and 1 mile in the Alphaflies. There's 2 of us, so then we have 2 trials, 2 data points to compare. We're gonna start with the Pegasus 37 and see what happens.
Trial 1, first mile. Jake's gonna be starting the pegs. 3, 2, go. $537 for the pegs.
542. That's about right. You guys ran within 3 seconds of each other.
Yeah.
The times for these shoes ended up being the same as the Pegasus 37 because our pair had way over 100 miles, which is the peak for these shoes. And they were probably near 200 miles, so they were essentially useless. They were not providing the 4%, and so we decided to cut these from the trial because all of our other shoes were essentially brand new, and these were just throwing a wrench in the data. So our experiment will go on without the 4%.
Interesting. Slower than the pegs. So that means beat 4% are worse than Pegasus.
Now that we have a baseline measurement with the Pegasus 37, we're really comparing the NEXT% and the new Alphaflies. And really, we will see in these experiments whether or not, the NEXT% or the Alphaflies run faster at the same wattage.
3, 2, 1, go. It's weird though, because it feels, my foot feels like it's on like a incline, like I feel like my heel's here, my toes are here.
Yeah, no, it's
Like,
so weird because it's just so
like I feel
much.
like I'm leaning back, which is interesting because theoretically they want you on your toes.
Well, I think you'll only be hitting on your toes. Before we get to our rep in the Alphaflies, let me tell you our first significant finding, and that is that I crunched Jake's numbers and my numbers for the 37s versus the next percents, and basically Jake was 2.37% faster in the next percents, and I was 6.14% faster in the next percents than the 37s. I did a little bit more math and averaged the two of them, and basically that works out to 4.26% faster average over both of us in the next percents than the Pegasus 37. Fly test.
One, go. Oh my.
But it's absolute.
Well, that was weird. Not the result we expected, but Jake ended up coming out 1.19% faster in the Alphaflies than the Peg 37s. I ended up coming out 3.8% faster in the Alphaflies than the Peg 37s, which is weird because basically we got half as fast as we were in the next percent, which is just a weird result that we did not expect. And either this could mean that the Alphaflies are actually not as fast as the next percent, but it just wouldn't make sense. Like, how could that be? So in the name of science, Jake and I are gonna run a 5K tomorrow in the next percents, and then the following day in the Alphaflies, and then we will find out once and for all which of these two shoes is actually faster. This is just weird. This is weird science. I don't know what's happening. Day two. Yeah. So today we're back at it. Today we're running 5Ks.
I swear I'm going 100.
And I'm gonna start out today inside Jake because Jake wants a little break. Guess I'm starting back at 150. 150.
153 and a half.
Oh, first 5K of the day. We're gonna be going at 341 watts. Seventeen, 14.
Really?
17-14.
Whew.
Hi, how was that?
It was way easier than yesterday, but super slow.
Really?
17:24.
It's just like bouncy, bro. I feel like a bunny.
Next percent test. 5K.
347.
Perfect pacing, but the time, 17:29. It is slower than the Alphaflies for me. Now we just have to see what Jake does.
Whew.
What was that?
17 flat, maybe 16:59.
Now that the 5Ks are over, I've crunched the numbers, and Jake is 2.3% faster in the next percent than the Alphafly, and then I'm 1.45% faster in the Alphafly than the next percent. So at this point you may be thinking, I'm confused, how is this happening? How is one person faster than one and faster than the other? I don't know. Genuinely, I don't know why this is, but my best guess is that our natural form differs a bit and the way we strike on the foot pod differs, so the efficiency will change a bit. I'm not exactly sure, so be sure to leave your comments down below telling us why you think this is, or what do you think of this experiment. That is all for today. I put a ton of time into this video, so I hope that you enjoyed, and if you did, please drop a like because it really helps it in the algorithm. And on top of that, if you enjoy videos like this, be sure to subscribe to my channel. That would also mean a ton to me. But as usual, live happy and be healthy, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
I've been running from it, tired of running from it, scared of feeling